Hi everybody, we're going to take notes from the 7th grade Common Core on lesson 7.2, continuing with angles. In this lesson, you need to be familiar with two vocabulary words. The first one is complementary angles, and those are two angles that have a sum of 90 degrees. Supplementary angles are two angles that have a sum of 180 degrees. An easy way that I've gone ahead and remembered what the difference between the two angles, I use a saying that says it is right to give a complement. When it's right to give a complement, right indicates that it's a right angle, which is 90 degrees. So it's right to give a complement indicates that complementaries are right angles, which are 90 degrees. In example 1, 2, and 3, we can identify are they supplementary or complementary, and if there is a variable, I can set up an equation to solve them. In example 1, I have 42 and 38. In order to determine if it's complementary or supplementary, I find the sum of those two angles. 42 plus 38 equals 80 degrees. And 80 degrees, let's change this. I think this 52. Hey, 52 plus 38 ends up equaling 90. Therefore, I can indicate that these are complementary angles. All right. It's very possible that it won't add up to 90 or 180, and therefore you would call it neither. All right. In example 2, this is indicated with a straight line, which indicates it's 180 degrees. Straight lines are 180, right angles are 90 degrees. Because I can see that they're adjacent, next to, and form a straight line, I can say they're supplementary angles, which means they have a sum of 180. And therefore, I go ahead and I can write an equation to solve for x. I've added the two adjacent angles up, knowing that they equal 180. I combine like terms, and then I solve the one-step equation, either subtracting by 89 or adding negative 89. And x equals 91. I know you're going to say, you're going to question, you have to write the equation. Doing it in your head is not going to work. For me, I mean, it'll work, you'll get the right answer, but that's not my expectation. In example 3, because the adjacent angles are indicated next to each other with a right angle box, I know that they are complementary, therefore they have a sum of 90 degrees. And so I write an equation accordingly. X plus x minus 20 equals 90 degrees. I now have 2x minus 20 equals 90 degrees. This is a two-step equation. I add 20 to both sides. I now have 2x equals 110. I divide, let me put that down just a little bit so you can see the bottom part. I divide by 2, x equals 55. So, in example 2, I had a sum of 180 because they are adjacent angles that are straight lines, which means they're supplementary. In example 3, they're adjacent angles that are part of a right angle, which means they equal 90. So I've added them up to something different each time, setting up my equations and solving. At the end, you need to make sure that you've copied down everything I've copied down, including the equations. You need to be familiar with the two vocabulary words, and you should be writing questions. You should be starting and stopping. Be sure if you have any specific questions that you need answered right away, you can shoot me an email. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.